Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
All of our guests today, including Elliotte Friedman, standing by, brought to you by Bassan Motors. Bassan sharing the love all month long. Head to BassanMotors.com. Download a coupon for your choice of a Dine Out gift card or hockey tickets with your next vehicle purchase. Get all the info at Bassan Motors, BASANT Motors.com. Delaney's OK Tire and Langley inbox. This is actually from our Twitter account from Brett. Let's focus on this year, Donnie. That question is very Gallagher-like.
Ooh, Tony.
I had to mention that just because all of us know and respect Tony Gallagher so much.
Love Tony.
Absolutely. All right, from Hockey Night in Canada, 32 Thoughts podcast. He joins us every second Monday. It's Elliotte Friedman. Elliotte, thanks for doing this, sir. How are you?
I did my hair for you guys today.
Oh, it's very nice.
You know what? There's too much complaining that I come on too disheveled, so I did my hair for you guys today.
No complaining from this side of things, Elliotte, but looking good. The Brill cream suits you well.
Yeah.
Hey, what can you? The fact that you remember Brill cream, I thank you very much for that. Hey, what can you tell us? The latest on the noise surrounding Elias Pettersson.
Look, I think this is what's going on here. He hasn't signed, and other teams aren't doing their jobs if they aren't calling to ask, what does that mean? Look, and I want to stress this is an if you were to trade for Pettersson right now, you would get him for 2 seasons before he hit the open market, barring any kind of contract extension. And if you're a good team, or even if you're a team that's thinking of building, you would be silly not to at least call the call the Canucks and say, hey, what's going on here? And I think that's what's happened. I think that teams have called them. Look, everybody knows how good Vancouver is. Everybody knows this is a go for a year, but you're not doing your job if you don't check in with them. And I think that's exactly what's happened. I think teams have called the Canucks to say that, what's the plan? What are you thinking? Is there any way you're thinking anything now? Like, for example, if I stress, if a guy like Pettersson was to be traded and you weren't aware of it, your owner would be mad at you. I remember when Joe Thornton got traded from Boston to San Jose, there were owners who said to their GMs, how come you didn't know this guy was available? So I think that's what's going on here. And I think the Canucks have just said, look, our goal is to sign him. Our plan is to sign him. And, because it's Vancouver and because it's a passionate market, people are aware of what's going on here. People are aware that the Pettersson situation is a story, and it's no matter how much the Canucks and other people have tried to get this story out of the news. It's tough to keep it out of it because of what team we're talking about here. So everyone knows, and I think they're just calling the Canucks to say what's going on. And look, I would be shocked if he was traded now. I would be stunned. But if he doesn't get done this summer, then suddenly we're in a different area. And I think teams do their due diligence, and that's exactly what's going on here. But they could win the Stanley Cup here, guys. So I don't. I would be surprised if anything happened now.
When you were on the boat in the summer, the Swedish boat. People bring it up, and I apologize for that, Elliotte. But
it was a great feature. Like I enjoyed talking to him, and I enjoyed doing it. It was a lot of fun.
Did you get the sense was there any that he liked playing in Vancouver, in the hot market of Vancouver? I think I've asked you this before, but it's coming up again. That he loved playing in Vancouver with all that attention.
Well, you know what? I think he loves, like, one of the things in that interview, if you go back to it, when we talk about his first game and the goal he scored and the passion of the market, he loves that. I absolutely believe that he thinks that when Vancouver's arena is rocking and it's hot and the team is good like it is this year, I think he loves that. Who wouldn't love that? I mean, geez, like that. If I was good enough to play hockey, that would be my dream. And I think he does recognize how important that is and how much fun that is. As I've said, I think he's a pretty private guy. I don't think he always likes how all of his words are parsed. To be honest, I don't know how much there really is to report on this story at this time in terms of his overall contract negotiation. I've assumed for some time now that he will punt it into the summer and make a decision then. He could always do something different, but that's been my assumption. But the fact is that nature abhors a vacuum, especially in a hot hockey market like Vancouver.
Yep.
And there's shows like yours and other shows. Like, we talk a lot about the Vancouver Canucks. People love to talk about the Vancouver Canucks, and I just think at this time of year, because it's the trade deadline, people are going to call. Like, there's going to be teams out there that have to give up good things to make deals. And I think what they're saying is, look, if we have to give up some of our best stuff, we just better make sure that there's nothing here that we need to be aware of.
Elliotte, trade deadline around the corner. They've been after Jake Gensel for quite some time. Chris Tanev, his name's out there. What's your feel right now with the Canucks and what they're going to do leading up to the deadline?
You know, Rick, I've covered Jim Rutherford enough to know that you have to expect the unexpected from him, and especially when he thinks he can win. And I believe that him and Rick Tocchet and the brain trust around them believe the Vancouver Canucks can win. And, the game on Saturday night was a perfect example. They weren't getting a lot going, and then, they found a way, led by JT Miller. So they believe they're good enough to win, and when you have that, you go for it. Like, these special years are hard to come by. So I still think he's looking around a lot. I think he's considering a lot. I think he's considering, if he brings in, what he has to move out. He has mentioned that he wants to be careful with the chemistry of the team, and I think that's very important because the Canucks certainly have had a special chemistry this year. But I do think he's considering some things big and small. But one of the things, I mentioned this today on our pod, that I have heard about Vancouver is if they're going to give away more good assets, like along the lines of what they had to move to get Lindholm, they don't want it to be for a rental. They want it to be for someone who they can either has term or they believe they can extend. So, I mean, look, my grandmother's old line is, you plan, God laughs. You try to do things, you hope to do things, but that's what I think about the Canucks. I think they're in on a lot of stuff. They're considering a lot of possibilities, but they would prefer, if they have to give up their best assets, it not be someone who would simply be a rental.
Are you surprised Tanev hasn't moved yet? This
No.
team, why?
I think a couple of things, Rick. I think, number one, I think that a lot of teams are really close to the cap, and the longer you wait, the less the cap hit is. I think that's a factor. I think, two, the Calgary Flames have tried to build up the market. There's a lot of teams interested, and the longer you can hang on, maybe the more you can get. There's a risk with injury with Tanev, and he actually hasn't missed a lot of games.
Yeah.
But Merrick called it like walking a tightrope. The way he plays, you always worry that he could get hurt because he's a guy who's going to throw himself in front of an oncoming bus if that's what he has to do to win a game. But I do think, because they're trying to pressure the market up to get more and more, I think the cap is an issue. And the other thing, too, is, Rick, I really do believe at different times over the last little while, the Calgary Flames have wavered back and forth about, do we trade him or do we keep trying to sign him? Right. So I think all of those things together are the factor in why he hasn't been traded.
Hey, El, before we let you go, back to the Canucks, did you expect JT Miller to be this productive in Vancouver when they first acquired him?
No, I didn't know that he would be that. Like, I knew he was a really good player, but I didn't think he'd be like a 99-point scorer. Yeah. And I just, like, what, honestly, what it reminds you of is that some people, like in Tampa Bay and in the Rangers, he didn't always get the lengthy opportunity to play as high as he has in Vancouver. Like, he was a good player, but you remember those Ranger teams were good, and the Lightning team was absolutely loaded. So I think the fact is that, Vancouver gave him, and he had short time opportunities to do it, but never as long as he's had here. And, the other thing too, and this is why I think that Miller is as successful as he is like, that's a guy who's never going to be satisfied with himself. He's always going to have that chip on his shoulder. He's always going to be mad about something. And I find people like that in life, they always find a way to be successful because they're never 100% satisfied. There's always something that has them annoyed and makes them feel that they've got to prove themselves more. And Miller's definitely got that. But no, like Donnie, if I said that I thought he was going to be a consistent 100-point guy, I'd be lying to you.
Pat Riley called. He wants his hair back.
Yeah.
Looking good.
Hey.
I'll trade it for his bank account.
I'll give Pat a call. Thanks, Elliotte. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Great to chat with you.